Anhorevo kojevo principalne i mastutyun hovorishistorin zi mastutyunas paris hovel posedem koncert, arachiko amenanjam, ichar paris hoktos kondos pergiazis, evo homerko adorazos vinstas analitzis. Welcome everybody. I'm glad to see everybody here. We're going to continue. Before we do that today, I want to welcome everybody who will be watching us on the internet as well. We're going to be continuing exploring the mysteries of the Divine Liturgy. And before we begin, everybody was okay last week?
Yeah.
Did you do any homework or anything? Was it exciting to come to church Sunday? All of a sudden it's like, wow, I didn't know that. Right? Okay, well, what I thought we'd do is we'd start off today with a little bit of recall. I learned that. How do we have Okay, a recap of session 1. And by the way, the video from last week is on our YouTube channel, so you can see it. And all of these will be up there. So there'll be 4 in all this session of the Divine Liturgy, so you can follow along. So let's just recap. So Badarak means what?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Okay, sacrifice. And Eucharist, remember the word Eucharist was Thanksgiving. So it's tied in with the idea of Thanksgiving. And as we said last week, there's a happiness and a joy that comes with gratitude. A lot of people think first you're happy and then you say thank you, but it's just the opposite. When you say thank you, you're happy. When you say thank you for doing something, you naturally feel happy. So gratitude, Thanksgiving, this is that 1 hour that you get together at church to participate in the Divine Liturgy. 1 hour out of 168 hours a week that God has given you to enjoy, to live. You come and you say thank you for the blessings that you have. The second thing, we talked about a holistic approach, right? Do you remember what the holistic approach was? We're using and this week I remembered to bring the book. This is the book that was written back in 1950s by the late and great Archbishop Diran Nersoyan. It's probably one of the most authoritative references on the Divine Liturgy. It's the whole Badarak in Armenian and in English. And he uses a lot of words that translate over from the Greek, the synaxis. He uses words like dalmatic. And these are very important words if you're studying the Divine Liturgy. I'm sure Dr. Deck mentioned this was probably one of your first textbooks in the Armenian Church. It was like, it was a staple. We all grew up on this. But as we're living, we're realizing that it's not just learning those words, it's not learning the sentences or what the words mean, but it's important that we understand the entire Badarak as one piece from beginning to end. And the reason for this is, well, we see so many people, what do? They come and they say, because they have no clue that there's a Badarak that's way more important. If you come to Badarak, Hokiankist is a very tiny part to the Badarak, after the Badarak. It doesn't even belong in it. But people miss the importance of how this service plays in. They think it's just a service. We're doing an opera. So I said, let's try a holistic approach. Holistic using our 5 senses. Seeing, smelling. Did you smell the hung? I put hung in before you came. All the way outside. Seeing the visuals that you see all around you. Hearing the songs in our church. Tasting the Holy Eucharist. And feeling by embracing people and saying hello. So we're using all of our senses. And then we also talked about the 6th sense, about the emotions that we have, our spiritual being. We talked about mystery last time, the chorurt, and we talked about the symbols. Specifically, we talked about the bread of life. So that's what we did last week. Are we ready to go to chapter 2? Yes. Whether you're ready or not. Remember the picture that I used especially, it explains why we're going to deviate from text like this, because it's not just about the church, but it's also about that telephone line that's over there.
Yeah.
Okay? That in other words, the church exists in a modern world with all of its issues and everything. So the church has to speak to the modern world. And when you think about it, this is the common thing that everybody says. How come young people don't come to church? Well, how does the church speak? They come in here, we're wearing foreign things that nobody understands, shiny, glittery things. We're speaking a language that nobody speaks. Even people who speak Armenian don't speak this language. It's a foreign concept. So you can come once, twice to a Badarak, and you'll enjoy it. You'll say that's pretty. But it has to have relevance to your life. And so that's what we're trying to do with this session right now. What the Badarak, how does it speak to us today? So, today we're going to talk about the preparation and participation. Two big words, okay? How we prepare for the Badarak, how you come to Badarak, and when I say prepare, what do you think about? How are you ready to come to Badarak?
Get dressed
You
up.
fast.
Emotional.
Get
We don't
dressed
need-
up, get ready.
Get ready, get dressed up, do your hair. And participation, very important word. In fact, so important that it is the basis of our church over here. When we first started this parish back in 2003, specifically we wanted the people to participate. Dr. Dekmedjan, myself, this was our scheme. And this is why when you come to our church, what do you notice? The choir doesn't wear robes. Why? Because the choir is not just these 3-4 rows, it's everybody. And guess what? In the old text, when you looked at it, it would say, it would have place for priest, deacon, and the third one was Jolur, the people. There was no such thing as choir. Tabratz Tas Tabir were the acolytes that would do the psalms, very special things, but the people would participate. So it's very important that we understand in participation the different players. So the clergy are the ordained ones, the priest, the deacons, the ones that are up at the altar. The second group is the attendees, okay? The participants. Okay, this is very important. I'm going to use this word. Jolovurt are the attendees, people who come and they participate. Now this word congregation comes to us from the Protestants, the Polkadans, okay? To congregate, to get together. It's the Armenian word zholovet, to bring them together. But what it denotes is that you come and you just watch. You congregate and you don't participate. So for our intents and purposes, we're going to say no to the word congregation. We're going to use the word participant, okay? Participant in the Badarak. Tonight we're going to be talking also about how you prepare. Like you said, you prepare on the outside, inside. You said the inside, right? The meditations, the prayers that you have, and the remembrances that you have. And finally, we're going to be talking about how to engage completely in the Badarak. Okay, this part, many of you have heard me talk about this before, but it's important to review this, okay? The Badarak is nothing more than a Thanksgiving meal. Okay? That's how it was. Let's think of Thanksgiving, end of November, the last Thursday. What do? We go, Grandma invites us over, we go have a nice meal, and we come home. We eat turkey. What else do? We meet with family members, right? Thanksgiving. In America, this is a very big tradition. In fact, so big that on that day, if you go drive the streets, nobody's on the street. It's bigger than Christmas, actually, because everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, okay? So let's think of that Thanksgiving celebration right now, and look how it compares with the Badarak. When you go to Grandma's house, when she invites you, what do? Do you go there with your pabujas and think? No, you get dressed up. Okay, dacham kravat. Okay, you trashvat zazilvazi, right? And you go and you're there to look really good. Well, guess what? In church, the same way. We start off. The Badarak starts off in that room. It's called the Avantadun, and that's where the priest gets ready. He puts on the robes. We're going to see in a few minutes, we're going to get dressed up. We even have a volunteer, one of our deacons here has volunteered. We're going to dress him up as a priest in a few minutes. So get your iPhones ready for this historic moment. The priest gets dressed. Next thing. Grandma, you're at Grandma's house, what do? You just go there and you just start eating? No, you see your cousin, so you start talking. Hey, what happened this year? You start talking about stories. Well, guess what? In church, we do the same thing. We talk about Jesus' stories, right? At the very beginning of the Badarak, we have the readings from the epistles and from the Gospels, just like Grandma's house. Then there's instruction. Grandma comes in here and she says, Heike, Nestetzek, she tells you what you guys have to do. I want you to go and set the table. I want you to do. Well, the same thing. That's what the sermon is. And the sermon takes place right at that point, right after the readings. Unfortunately, we have very few people that come to church at that time, so we move the sermon way to the end. But that's not where the sermon should be. It should be right after the readings. Next thing, preparation to eat. Okay, you don't just go and eat, you have to prepare. You have to put the table out. You have to see who sits where. Uncle Toros and Auntie Lynn do not get along with one another. So we better make sure that they sit on opposite sides of the table. Check preparation, right? Little cards and everything. Guess what? In the church, Mivok Herachayitz. Let everyone who is not a communicant of this of the church step outside. The deacon says it again, right? He says, go outside of the doors and pray. In other words, Uncle Toros, you didn't get along with Auntie Lynn. Cannot go outside and think about what's going on. So it's a preparation. It's a preparation time. Memories. As we're sitting at the table, what do? We remember that one of the aunties passed away this year. We remember, as we remember her, we remember that her husband passed away 5 years ago. We start remembering all of the people that we love. We do that in Badarak too, right? All these people, right? These are all people that have come to the church, have left their marks, and we remember them, okay? So they're the remembrances that we have. Then we wash up, right? To eat, what do? We wash our souls. Vayins, right? We are preparing ourselves, just like when we wash up, for the meal. And then we break the bread. Grandma brings out the turkey, and there's all the food and everything. Well, that's the Holy Communion. And sometimes people say, should we take communion every Sunday? I always answer, if you're ready, you should take it. If you feel your spirit, if you're hungry physically, you go and eat. If your soul needs it, you eat. There's no rule on that. But I want you to imagine going to Grandma's house, and after all of these things, and she brings out the turkey and say, no, sorry, gotta go. Well, then why did you come? The purpose of Badarak has a purpose, okay? It has a purpose to prepare the Holy Communion. And finally, at the end, we say, thank you, Grandma. It was great. We thank you, oh Lord. Okay? I mean, this Badarak is incredible. Everything that you want is there. And then Grandma says, again, just wait right here. We're going to have some coffee. Well, we have that too. We have our coffee hour after church, which, as I said last week, is very important. It's part of the communion, the fellowship that we have. Okay, so the Badarak is a Thanksgiving meal in itself. 1 hour Thanksgiving every week, okay? Here we go. Preparation. The first thing that we do is we get dressed. And as I dress Deacon Harad right now, I'm going to explain what the vestments are, and then we're going to see how those vestments play into our lives every day, okay? So, Deacon Harad, if you'll assist me, I would appreciate it. You do that every week. Today I get to do it. The first vestment, actually...
No photo session.
Yeah, no photo session, because if it goes to Ishmael, then we have problems. Okay, the first thing that the priest blesses and he takes right off is the tak, salavat, okay? This is the crown. Now the crown, would you like me to read the prayers that the priest says? I'd like to just share those with you. they're not as important as the meaning behind them, okay? So the crown emphasizes that he is a king, and as a king, this is called not only a top, but it is the saravat, the helmet. Now, where do you hear helmet? Riding a bike. Okay, where else? In war, you wear a helmet to do what? Protect yourself, right? So what's he going to be doing? What's the priest going to be doing that he needs protection? He's going to be in a war against the powers of evil. He's going to be celebrating this Badarak, and that's how seriously the Badarak is taken, that it is considered this battle that is not only fought by the priest, by the deacons, and by the congregation. So the first thing is the top. He says, "Tidder sagavar perdutian ikolpo." Put, O Lord, upon my head this helmet of salvation to fight against the powers of the enemy by the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. So the first thing he does, he takes it and he just puts it on his head. And then he immediately takes it off out of practicality because the other vestments would get stuck on there. But it's the first thing that he puts on.
This
okay?
is happening in the Avantal.
This is happening in the Avantal. Okay? So this is the part that you don't see when you come to church. The next is the shirt. The shirt is white, shabik, and it is a symbol of purity. Not to pick on him, but all of us, we all have our sins. But when we put this on, and how, right? When we're putting all this on, we're saying that this service is so special that I'm not worthy to do it. But cleanse me now. Put this shirt on me so that it is a symbol of purity. I'll read the prayer in a minute. And the prayer says, "Clothe me, O Lord, with the garment of salvation and with the robe of gladness, and gird me with the vestments of salvation." So that purity. There we go. So does that mean? Okay, so the first thing was the crown, the second one is the shirt, the shabik. I'm using very colloquial terms, yes. There's
You need women deacons going back in tradition.
Yes, they would have much nicer means of doing this, nicer ways of doing this. The next one, the stole. The stole is given to us by Christ. Who knows what I'm referring to? There's a passage that he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." The deacons wear the urad over there. That's the stole. Urad is the stole. The priest wears a different urad. It's called por urad because it is put on his body. So, the fight that he's going to be fighting, this beautiful Badarak that he's going to be celebrating, is also ordained by God. It's a reference to the yoke that Christ is giving us. And if you remember, the yoke actually means, the big oxen. They would have those big things. They would carry the burdens of people. They would carry the plows, okay? And they would be beasts of burdens. They'd be moving the things the same way. The priest is taking on the yoke. But what does Christ say? "Take it upon you and learn from me, because I am gentle of heart and you will find rest for your souls." Means that as hard as it is, don't worry about it. I'm with you. The next one is the belt, the godi.
Looking good, right?
I have future in this business.
Maybe you should take this seriously.
Yes, he does have a future, yes, if you listen. Okay, the belt. The prayer that's said over the belt is, may the girdle of faith encircle me round my heart and my mind and quench vile thoughts out of them, and may the power of your grace abide in them at all times. It's that circular feeling, all-inclusive, global, okay? We invented globalization. In other words, he's taking everything around him. Yes?
Are the deacons the ones that are addressing the priest?
Yes.
And who's saying the prayers?
The priest. The priest is saying this.
We only say we have Jesus kao kanız deravet yani geçiyor bu
And then the priest responds, yeah. So the deacons offer each vestment to the priest. They'll give him the thing. Again, in peace, let us beseech the Lord. The priest blesses it, and then he puts it on. And actually, you're seeing a reverse role. Every Sunday, Deacon Hadid vests me. So if you could use X-ray vision in there, you would see the opposite of this happening. Okay, so the belt is circular. The next ones are the cuffs or the bazbuns. Pazuk is your fist. So again, where have you seen these? Gladiator movies? Huh? What do they do? Wonder Woman. Yes, Wonder Woman has it. They are to give him strength. What was the crown? To give him the helmet of salvation. What is this? The strength to do the work. Okay? Over mind, over soul, now with the hands. All inclusive, holistic, right? The next one, I'm going to ask Deacon Hadid to come up and do this because there is an art to this and I have not mastered it. Would you mind? Please. I'm going to ask Dr. Dekmejan because every Sunday we fail. And there's an art to put this. This is called the Vagas, and I'll explain it in a minute.
What is it?
Are we?
This gets tricky there.
I know, it's very tricky.
He gets so upset when he sees it all crushed.
I know, that's why I'm not doing it. That's it. A plus. Thank you. Okay, Vagas. Think
He's
about
like
it.
a
want to turn it on?
superhero.
You want to turn it on?
He's ready to fly.
Yeah, he is.
He's ready for the
He is
war.
He is a superhero. What do you think this is? Think about it for a moment.
Shelter from the people
I'll
coming
read
from
the
your
prayer for it, the Vagas. Clothe my neck, O Lord, with righteousness, and cleanse my heart from the filthiness of sin. Where does sin come from? From inside, outside, right? Focus. You never been on a farm, you've seen the horses, what do they have? They have those things, blinders. This is to remind the priest, your focus is there, is on the Balamak. What's shit? Can't look. I can't look and see who's wearing what, who's talking to me. This thing means I can't. Okay? Focus, okay? So this is the blinder. This is my do they match? I can't. So, Vagas is focus.
Vagas.
Vagas. Vagas? Vagas.
It rhymes.
The next one is called cope. I call it the cape, very much like the superhero that you were talking about. This is called the shurchar. Shurch, around. And this one, the deacon hands to the priest. The priest blesses, kisses it, and it is placed underneath the vagas and tied together. I don't know in the class.
Oh,
He messed up the Vagas.
You- Okay, and I'll read the prayer to the shurchar. In thy mercy, clothe me with the radiant garment and fortify me against the influences of the evil one. So this is the shield against the evil one, and that word is important, radiant, right? It's always shining. When you walk into a church, first thing you notice? Ooh, wow, that's shiny. So here you have the priest.
There we go.
Yay.
I think
This
we
is the phony priest.
should go for a ride. That brand
There will be masks that you wear and then you take it off during the bus.
Yes, that's, let me talk about that too. There's one more thing in here that I didn't bring. It's the lenchag, the tashkinag, and that is a symbol of service, okay? Remember, Jesus took the tashkinag and the lenchag, and he wiped the feet of the disciples, okay? So it's a symbol of service. It also has a practical reason for it in that it allows him to dry his hands. So thank you very much, Deacon Haddad.
I have a
think
question.
There is a future in this.
Yes.
You would only
I
listen
can
to
probably say that I wore the vestments one day.
And we could probably say we witnessed it.
They're violets.
violets, yes.
Okay, Anna has a question.
Yes,
but I
let's
have a
ask
question.
questions while he
Is
he
there a
rolls.
reason why? I've noticed that a lot of the cups have red inside. Is that representing something?
Red is usually the color of blood.
But
It's
that's always like that, or sometimes?
the cardinal colors. Are you talking about
Yeah.
like the hierarchs?
No, no, no.
No,
I've noticed-
inside the cape.
Oh, inside the cape. I thought I heard you say
Hastara.
cope. I see. I'm sorry. I thought you said cope. Yeah, inside the cape. No, it's just the lining. I think it's just there's a lot of that lining around that color. It usually matches very nicely with some of the colors. But no, there's no order to the inside of it.
I have a question.
Yes.
I also noticed the priest wearing slippers during the beginning of the service and then taking it off. What is that part of the
Yes, to
vestment?
go up
White socks.
To go up on the altar, it's not necessary to wear slippers. What's necessary is not to wear street shoes up there, okay? So instead of just having socks on, we have the slippers on there. But there's no specific prayer for those slippers. It's just you wear slippers.
Okay, but then you take them off halfway into the service.
Yes, there's a reason for that. And the same, who asked about the cross? Sophie asked about the cross. Thank you.
I have a question too.
Yeah.
Is there a prayer going while you're taking off the vestments or not?
Off? No.
No.
Off is just an off. Yeah.
Taking off.
Off is divesting.
Okay. No prayer.
It's finished, yes, everything is finished. Okay, let's answer a couple of questions.
The shoes.
The slippers come off and the cross comes off. The cross, today, of course, everybody gets a cross, but the official, up until just 10, 15 years ago, there was a kahana, a priest, would be given the privilege of wearing a cross. Chachagir kahana. So not all priests would have crosses. So usually after an accomplishment. For instance, in Cupertino, after 10 years I had served, we built a church by the grace of God. The Sirpazan allowed me then to wear a cross. Up until that point, I was a priest without a cross, you know. And there's privileges, just like the pilon, zalga pilon, manishaga, zalga pilon. There's a whole bunch of them we can talk about. The slippers, the same way. Now, here's the interesting thing. What you've noticed, the priest takes off everything down to the bare minimum of what is the priest vestments. In other words, chachagir, you take it off. Sirpazan takes off the emipirons and everything. If the Catholicos came, he would take off his extra things. Why? Because at that portion, it is only the priest that is celebrating the Balarak. In other words, if you didn't know who the Catholicos was or who the Sirpazan was, and you came into church after that portion, you wouldn't know if he was a Derai, Sirpazan, or Catholicos. It's just the priest. And that's why in Kohutyun, what do they say? Yev kahanais voras Balarakas Malmasana. It's the kahana, it's the priest that is doing it. We've added all those extra things in there now. Yev, Zaidak, Wimba, Tabed, you know, all these things. But that's a good point. During that portion of the liturgy, the priest is down to the bare minimums of what he is as a priest. Okay, now these are the vestments. You saw the vestments. Now what does this mean to us? Well, how do we interact with this? Well, let's take a look at it, okay? I'm going to talk about the towel and the handkerchief. We're going to talk about Against the vestments, let's talk about our virtues. What are the virtues that we have? The crown. It should tell us that as we're coming to church, we are seeking strength that comes from above. Okay, we all have strength, but sometimes we need extra strength. Strength that you can't find by your own means. The shirt symbolizes purity. I come into church, I have all kinds of thoughts during the week, during the night before. Somebody called us up the other day, it was interesting. He said, we want you to come over Saturday night. Kef video, okay, yeah, kef. And he gave me a few dates and I said I couldn't make it on those particular dates. And I said, how about Sunday afternoon? He says, Che, Monday we're going to go to work. Well, that's nice. What about us on Saturday? In other words, we're going to go and we're going to drink and eat and everything like that. And then Sunday morning you're expected to come. What do you need to do? You need to be in a very peaceful state. I'm not talking about purity like I'm still the bad guy that I am, but you need to cleanse. You need to be in a different state of mind when you're doing the Badarak. So when you come to church, to be in a different state of mind. Remember the soul, the Horurad, right? Comes from Christ. We come here as ambassadors of Christ. We get our life from Christ. The belt, the globalization, universal. In other words, when I'm going to come to this church, it doesn't matter who I am. It doesn't matter what field I'm in. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all part of this big family that we call the church. The cups. The strength we receive from God has to translate into the strength that we do for work. So as I'm in church, I'm thinking about all kinds of things. As the Badarak is going on, I have to think about, what is my next assignment? What do I need to do to make this world a better place? My family a better place? What can I do to bring God's love into my family, into my community, into the people that I care about? And why not the world? The Vagas, focus. I'm here with a purpose. That's why I say, when you come to church, come sit in the front. Why? So you can focus in on everything. You sit in the back, what happens? You get to see everybody and everything that they're wearing and all that they're doing. And your people, you start thinking, oh, I wonder why she's wearing that. I wonder, oh, look at him, he's looking somewhere else. You should be focusing in on what's going on over here. The Shurchad. It is the radiance. You as a child of God, creation of God, you've come to church, you should be radiating God's love. You've had a really rough week, you've had a really rough time doing all the other things, but now you're here in a very new capacity. And then the towel, the handkerchief, is to remind you that you are in service. Okay, this prepares us now. This is how we come to church. We should come to church with all of these virtues and values. Now, how are we prepared via the virtues? Well, interestingly enough, in the Holy Scriptures, and today I just put it up on the thing so we don't have to open the Bibles, because I noticed last week somebody came up to me after church and said, after Bible study, they said, what I read didn't match what you read. Where was I wrong? And basically it was a wrong, different translation. Okay? So instead, just so we're all on the same page, since we're centering on the different portions of the Badarak, I thought I'd just write it up here, okay? In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, when you are offering your gift at the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled with your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. So the number one preparation for Badarak, it's not about not eating, it's not about washing your hands, but it's to be reconciled. Hashtavaz, to be at peace with who? With God? Look what it says.
Your brother.
More important than God. People don't want to accept this because everybody says, oh, I love God, Jesus loves me. He's saying there's something more important. You can't love God unless you love one another. So go and reconcile with your brother and your sister. In other words, learn to forgive 7 times, 77 times, as many times as possible. and reconcile. That's the name of the game. How does this work? Remember that list that I put next to the vestments, okay? Strength from above. You need strength from above if you're going to forgive somebody. I have a problem. I think everybody has that problem to forgive, right? Somebody hurts you. What's the first thing you want to do? Go back, okay? So you need strength from above, not your own strength. You want to forgive, you need strength from above. You need to be pure. You need to really say, if I really love somebody recently hurt me very badly, and I was thinking to myself, well, if I'm really going to love that person, I need to be honest and say forgive. Now, I say, well, can I do that? Well, Jesus did it. Why did Jesus do it? He was pure. So now I look at the purity. How can I cleanse my heart? How can I be pure? If I really want to say somebody, I love you, then I need to be able to say, I forgive you too. Oops. I went the wrong way. Let's go back. The strength to forgive comes from Christ. It's His commandment. There's no other religion on the face of the earth that preaches this kind of forgiveness. Nobody. Nobody. During the days, sometimes I listen to there's Jewish talk shows that combines, and he says Jewish and Christian were the same thing. We're not the same thing, okay? Jews are very strict in their interpretation. It's if you do something bad to me, I have the right to do it back to you. Jesus says, no, you don't. Because if you go by the Jewish law, then God has every right to just kill us every day, right? Just forget about it, right? Because we're so messed up. But He forgives. Forgiveness is global, it's universal. You need to start thinking about, if I forgive my brother, what happens? He forgives somebody else. Tonight, I didn't catch the entire speech, President Obama, but we're talking about going over there and bombing people. I'm not saying, it's as easy as just forgiving. I realize there's all kinds of politics involved, but at some point, somebody needs to say, stop. We can't retaliate. If, I think it was Dr. King who once said, if we lived by an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, we'd all be blind and toothless. Because, that's all we'd be doing. We'd be plucking out each other's eyes and taking out teeth. We need to find the strength to do this and focus. What happens then? We have the radiance, and we realize that our life is life of service. Very important. How important is forgiveness in the church life? Jesus said, if you come to church and you haven't forgiven, go and first forgive, okay? Let's see what else He says. Again, from the Sermon on the Mount. He says, when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, so they may be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. But whenever you pray, go into your room, shut the door, pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. When you are praying, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask Him. God already knows what you need. So you don't need to add extra words, things He already needs. So what are you praying for? God already knows the needs. You need to pray for the important things. How do I find the strength? How about patience? Patience. Everybody who needs extra patience, raise your hand. Raise 2 hands, yes. Everybody who needs a little bit of strength. Everybody who needs courage. I get scared a lot of times. And what Jesus is saying over here is humility. When you come to church, come to Badarak, it's not about, what are all these words that they're saying and everything, but at what level are you? How humble are you in the sight of God? I'm sure you've all seen this image that we have. We have these. They come in like this, right? Have you seen that? They come to church. I'm here. Park is dead. You don't need to do that kind of stuff, okay? Those are kind of things that, or even better as this one. I I don't have the big, but it'll be like, it's not, the people who give the dollar, it's usually like this. Right? They put the dollar in. But the people who give like the 20s, right? And they put it in. Why? They want people to see. God already knows what you're doing. He knows what your heart is. You don't need to prove. Now, why is this important? One of the biggest things that we suffer from, all of us suffer from, is a lack of self-worth, self-image. Why? Because we care what other people think of us. Guess what? It doesn't matter what other people think. And if they're going to judge you by what you wear, what you say, and everything, you probably don't need them anyway, right? This is a really important lesson over here that Jesus is talking about, humility. It's between you and God. Don't worry about the rest of the world. You know what? They're going to find fault in no matter what you do. Guess what? The perfect man came into this world, Jesus. They found fault with him. They put him on a cross, right? Okay, so if they did that to Jesus, what do you think they're going to do to you? So you don't need these people. Okay? What you need to be is at peace with God, reconciled with your neighbor. Preparation via the virtues. Jesus continues. Remember I said, we're going to look and see how important is forgiveness. He teaches us. He says, when you pray, pray this way. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. May your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, our trespasses, as we forgive our debtors. Do not bring us to the time of trial, but rescue us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory. We add that to it because it's so important, right? This is the prayer that he teaches us. Well, look in the prayer. What are you asking for? Every statement in this is about praise to God, except two things. Give us food, our daily bread. And what's the other thing? Forgive. He says it. Forgive how? As I forgive those others, the people who owe me something, okay? So, if somebody owes me $1, and I say, you're forgiven, I could expect God to forgive me everything that I've done. If I owe him my life, he'll forgive me. But if that guy that owes me $1 and I say, well, you know what? I don't care for you too much. How about giving me 50 cents and I'll let the other. I've what? Forgiven him halfway. What do I expect from God? Halfway. He says it. That's what we pray. You have told me as Bardis mes. Vorbese me, in the same way that I forgive others. Okay? We're saying it. God, forgive me as I forgive those who have debts against me. Okay? So we're just saying it. We're digging our own ditch. Yes?
Is letting go same as forgiveness? Like, you don't confront the person, but you forgive them in your heart?
Yeah. Yeah, letting go. Being done with it. Machre. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Last week I told you I had to do a funeral for an 18-year-old kid who was died in an accident, horrific accident. And when you talk to them, you're talking to the families. It's from minute to minute. What matters? What matters at that point? Who cares? You know, whether you got a nice car, whether you drink nice wine or something, who cares? You know? Every minute is important. And it doesn't matter. If people don't like you, I don't care. We need to say that. I wish we could learn to say that. I don't care what you think. Really, I think we'd all live a lot better. Now, Jesus continues on the Lord's Prayer, on the Our Father. This is the next sentence. That's how important it is. So after he says, pray like this, he then says, for if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Forgiveness is the central issue in Christianity. That's why we emphasize the 7 times 77 here at this church, our ministry and everything. It's like we have to begin someplace. If we can't forgive other people, nothing's going to really save us. Forgive us our debts as we forgive as we have forgiven our debtors. Now, we're preparing ourselves. We've come to church, and we think about all the things that we've done. During the week, I stole something. What? You stole something? Well, I didn't really steal, but, I did something that I shouldn't have done. I took something from somebody, didn't belong to me. And when I say that, what do you guys think? Okay, the glasses are there, and I took them. But how many times do we take away happiness from people? How many times do we take away some of their self-worth? We do a lot of things. We do a lot of things that are really sinful, okay? That's stealing, isn't it? How about lying? 6 o'clock, my phone rings. This doesn't happen anymore because we don't have home phones. In the olden days, when there was one phone in the house, not everybody had a cell phone. I know, this is really old time. When there was only one phone, the phone would ring, tell them I'm not home. Tell them I'm not home. And then as kids, we used to have to lie, right? What's it say? Do not lie. Do not bear false witness. What are we taught from early age? Tell them I'm not home. Okay. We lie. Are these sins? Are these bad things? Are they deadly? Do we go to hell for these things that we do? Well, this is why in our Armenian church, in Orthodoxy, we have the deadly sins. It's not about stealing. It's not about lying. It's not about disgracing your mother. It's not about adultery or murder. It's what is underneath those things. And this is why every Sunday we repeat them. And I put them in Armenian as well because we say them in Armenian in church. So I wanted you to at least get the connection. Every Sunday we say, Habardutun, pride. That's the guy who wears the jacket on. I'm here. Okay? No, seriously. Pride. We have a lot of pride as people. Not only that, not only this. How about when we get hurt by people? We don't want to say sorry to people. We don't want to let other people know that we're not doing well. Okay? So financially, I'm in ruins, but next week I've got to do this wedding for my kid. So we've got to make it even more. And you know what? I'm going to go out and get a loan. And you know what? That loan is going to set my whole family back for the next 10 years. I'm going to do it. Why? Because I have pride. I've got to do it better than the other people do. There's so many examples, and I know you can think of many of them. The next one, nachans, envy. I like what you have. I really like what you have, okay? That's envy, when you want that thing, okay? You can like things. That's a Irani, it's that I wish it was mine, okay? That's the envy. Anger. We should put in the thing, parvutun, yevchalainutun, right? It's like intermix, right? You get your nerves go crazy and you get upset. Stop it! And then what happens after you get angry? You take a breath and you realize, what am I getting angry for? Especially when you do this to your children. This is every parent goes through this. Every parent goes through this. You get angry, and parents to be, get ready. This is that was on the internet. We got a few preggies over here. They're knitting through my class, believe it or not. Yes, parents go through this all the time, right? You get angry with your children. And what's the first thing that happens after you get angry? You feel bad. You feel lousy. Why did I have to get angry? Well, you're human. Parvutun. It's an emotion. It's a feeling that you have. Okay, does this mean you go to hell? No. It just means that you're a human. And we're going to talk about this in a minute. If I don't, please remind me. These are the deadly sins. Why do we call them deadly, okay? Sloth. Sloth is another nice way of saying lazy. Zulutun. Tembel, right? People who are just, I could do it, but I don't want to, you know? So This is when, this happens more with boys than with girls, but you're in a big group of guys, and then you see somebody show off. They'll be on the skateboard or doing something incredible, and you go, yeah, I could do that, but I don't want to. You can't do it, but you're too lazy to do it, really. That's the thing. There's a lot of things that we do. To take out the trash. I don't really feel like it. Those are the little things. But how about our slothfulness, our laziness to interact with people? How about when we see somebody lonely to be able to go out there them and say hello? How about when we see a problem in our community for us to take the lead and say, I can do something about it. I think about our maidens here in this church, how the maidens formed. The whole idea was that we needed help, and right away a group of women came and said, we're going to help out. We see a need, let's help out. The laziness is when you just sit back and you're inactive. Covetousness, akavutun. Okay, a little bit different than envy. This is more like you have it and you still want it.
Greedy.
Okay?
Greedy.
Greedy, thank you. Yeah. Greedy. So I have something, but I want a little bit more, and I see it in other people, I want it even more. Gluttony, vogramolutun. What a good word that is. Gluttony, you want to eat, you want to participate, and especially our society doesn't make it easy. Everywhere you look, it's like, you got to eat this, you got to eat that, you got to eat that, and this is one of the sins. Lust, beautiful words. I met a priest several years ago. I'm serious about this. He took that out. I'm very serious about this. He took it out of the confessions of Amote. Seriously, lust, we shouldn't talk about it. And he took it out, so there was 6 deadly sins. I'm very serious. I met him, it's a 20, 30-year-old story. But he took that out. He says, lust. Okay, you look at things. You remember most famous...
Denial, geez.
Denial is another sin. The most famous story of this was President Jimmy Carter. They asked him one day, have you ever had adultery? And he says, yes. The President of the United States, and he says, well, I've looked at a woman with lustful eyes. He says, I'm a human being. I've looked at that woman and I've seen something nice. Well, according to Christian standards, that is, Jesus says, if you looked at somebody with lustful eyes, that's committing adultery. So that lustfulness, that you see something of beauty and you want that. These are the 7 deadly sins. Now, what do we mean by deadly? Unfortunately, we always assign this to going to hell. Okay? If you die in a state of sin, you go to hell, we talk about. Actually, what I'm going to challenge you to really think about is the deadly sins they prevent us from living. That's why they're deadly. In other words, when you have anger, when you have lust, when you have gluttony, lazy, when you envy, when you have pride, you can't really live the full life that you want to live. That's all it means. That's why you're dead. Doesn't mean that you're going to go to a place called hell, because Jesus forgives us each of these things. But how about our daily opportunities to live in this world, right? Because of these emotions that we have, these feelings, I can't be the person that I want to be. I can't live up to God's standards of being that perfect creation that He has created me to be. A child is a perfect creation. Do we all agree that? Baby who was born this week, last week, in a few weeks, those babies are perfect, right? They don't have these kind of feelings, right? As soon as they start they play in the playground and they see little Joey over there, for lack of Armenique over there, and he sees that he's playing with the bigger car than his, he wants it. Envy, and so it starts off. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until he steals because of the envy, okay? Till he commits a crime because of the envy. So this is why I believe these are called deadly sins. So in preparation for the Badarak, we cleanse ourselves emotionally, spiritually, and we get ready to participate. And then in the thing we say, for I have neither performed the positive commands nor abstained from the things that are prohibited. Okay, that's an important statement that we say. You have to do the positive commands too. Yes?
What was the fifth one down again?
Which one?
Covetousness.
No,
Covetousness.
yeah, I'm having trouble pronouncing it. Covetousness.
Covetousness.
Yeah.
Covetousness is wanting more than you have.
Or wanting what
No,
someone
excuse me.
else's.
When you have everything and not being satisfied. Not being satisfied with what you have.
Oh, I thought that was gluttony.
No, gluttony is.
Gluttony is usually with the
Oh,
food
like
element.
overdoing, okay.
Yeah, wanting more. So covetousness is having everything, you're happy with what it is, but I want more. Okay?
Like they say, don't covet your neighbor's.
I'm having a hard time understanding.
Money.
Money. I have a lot of money, I want more. Don't we all? So, yeah, that's a problem. Okay, I guess I won't sleep tonight. All right, symbols. Remember last week we talked about symbols? I'm going to end tonight with these symbols for you, okay? As part of this today's thing. How are we doing on time? Just look at that, exactly an hour. Symbols. This church area, the outside is called narthex, that's called the bema, the stage. This part, who knows what it's called?
Yes.
Nav. It's the same word in Armenian as it is in English. In English they call it the nave of the church. The nav, it means the boat. The boat. And so if this is a boat, guess who's on this boat? You have the priest who's over there with the steering wheel, Reget Serkin, right? He's standing up there and he's doing it. He's got the deacons assisting him over there. These are all the symbols of the church. And we're all in this boat. And who else is in this boat? We have the collective. Everybody is sitting in this boat. And where are we going? Where is our destination? It is the kingdom of God. So we're all in this boat and we're moving forward. Priests, deacons, people, everybody's in here. And if you're not in it, you're outside of the boat. Okay? This is why we call this the nav. Okay? The nave. We're inside this boat. Now I want you to think about this symbol. The kingdom of God is our destination. Is that something that is going to happen? What does Jesus say? The kingdom of God is at hand right now. It's not about going to some future place. It's about living that good life right now. Living at peace and harmony with one another right now. Not in some future time. Now, the boat is on destination. I want you to think about this. This is the symbol image that you go away with. Let's think about the boat. When we think about boat, what do you think about? Nice boat, going fast, treading water, getting to a destination. This is how life should be. This is how a boat should be. What the church is a little bit different. And I want you to think about this for a moment. This is what church is. Different people, different backgrounds, and everybody's on there for survival. You've got a captain, you've got the people who are moving it forward, and you've got people. Everybody's on there for one reason. They want to get to the destination, and they want to survive the trip. Now, I'm going to ask you, would you want to be on a boat like this with a good crew that's ready to do it, or you want to be with people who don't know what they're doing? And that's why you're here today. It's because we're all on this boat, and there's all kinds of people on this. In the case of the Armenian church, you could think about people who have come from Soviet regimes, people who have come from Iran, Iraq, from Beirut, from America. All different. We're all different. We're all Armenian, but we're all Yurahaduk harmony. We have our individual flavors. And we're all on this boat. And we're all trying to get to a place. You want to make sure that the crew is healthy, and you want to make sure that everybody on the boat is going to make it to its destination. That's the symbol that I leave you with this week. We're going to be picking it up next week, where I'm going to talk, believe it or not, I write notes about these things. We're going to be talking about actually some of the sayings of the church. So we're going to learn what to say, how to participate. Like for instance, when you kiss the cross, there's something you say. When you get the Vazken, Christos Mishra, it's not blah, blah, blah. People do that because they don't know what to say. Yes, Christopher.
I usually don't know if we're on him, like when I do it when other people do it. So I don't know the timing.
The timing of the
maybe
cross.
because sometimes I don't understand. I just,
That's an
I go with the flow.
excellent question. Let's address that next week. I'll make a note when I get up there. Okay, the cross. When do we make the sign of the cross? Okay, thank you. That definitely we'll do that. Yes.
There are 3 points.
Yes.
Practical point of view. Number one, the cross. Precisely because the congregation doesn't know when to make the sign of the cross. There are people that are constantly making the sign of the cross. Constantly.
Yes.
Okay, that's number one. And same thing with...
There's a lot of bowing in this church. Yeah.
And they're bowing at the wrong time.
I know.
So, but beyond that, even more seriously from a practical point of view, is what you pointed out earlier, to come forward. So, the only problem we have is the first row. The rest of the rows, very often, they're empty, especially early in the church. We want people to come forward.
Come forward.
And I try to do all kinds of things in my power to bring them forward, because we want them to participate. Last but not least is the confession. As we know, like everything else, we want to share that. So anyone, especially women, because we're trying to get women to go to party. We don't want to make trouble, of course. But it's very important that we go to our ancient traditions.
Yes.
About women being deacons. And eventually being more than that.
Yes, and it will happen. Not in our lifetime, but
Well,
no, it will happen. It's going to happen.
yes. Well,
I believe.
I don't want to start trouble. All I want is to have others, also men, but especially women, who read the confession, to let me know earlier. Some of you, of course, have done that, but others who haven't done it, let me know if you're interested, so we can invite you to do that. And the only problem there is to read it, loud, in a believing manner, and not do drama. It's not a poem.
I love
all
those.
we have to do. Okay. So therefore, whoever's interested, please let me know so that we can put you
Okay,
on.
this is it's a public invitation. I'm just wondering if you've done it, but public invitation. It would be beautiful to hear people. Thank you bringing this up, because beyond what you said, each of us now has to be an ambassador. Obviously, there's 30 of us here, 20 of us, 30 who listen to this, people who follow it. We have an obligation to tell the people who don't come, right? Because there's far more people who don't come. We now have an obligation to tell people, this is what we learned. Let's, move forward. There's no excitement back there. All the excitement's up here. We have a lady who comes through these doors every week. Everybody stop. Oh, what's nothing exciting. Seriously. Just I always wonder, what is so exciting about this lady coming in from this door? It's a handicap access. I would never in my life look at a handicapped person and go, ooh, you're handicapped. But over here, this poor woman comes through this door. Everybody, wouldn't it just be nice if you just continued your prayer? Not worried whether she comes in, she rolls in, she fumbles in. It's her business, Poor thing, we should be happy that she comes, right? Instead, everybody, hey! Well, that's one of the problems of not focus, right? Let's focus. The focus is up there. So thank you. Yes, open invitation. I would really encourage anybody who would like to read the confession. There's so many opportunities. Susan does the Vazken. If you're here during the Vazken, please see her. She appoints 2 people every Sunday, which is, again, it's one of the most beautiful things that happens at our church. It's not parish council. It's just, sometimes we see little kids giving the voltching. Sometimes we see husband and wife teams getting up and giving. Two friends getting up and giving voltching. It's beautiful. So please see her. If you're here, say, I want to do it this week. Just challenge yourself. Just say, I'm scared to death. I know everyone's going to laugh at me, but I don't care. If they laugh at me, I'm just going to say, Urachem. And move on. Anyway, I want to thank Deacon Hadai for being a good sport about letting me vest him. I want to thank all of you for coming. Next week we'll be doing this, and then I've got a surprise. Our fourth session is going to be at the diocese. Where our fourth one we're going to be doing at the Zorayan Museum, and we're going to incorporate it with something even bigger than this. So I'll tell you more about it next week. So until next week, I'll see you Sunday. This Sunday is Veratzuman Subchachi, one of the 5 major feast days. We have free Rahan. So come and oh, you're not here.
I'll bring you.
Okay, Rahan. Okay. And if you dry it, you can put it in your tea. It's fantastic stuff. We're going to miss you. Okay, we will finish with the prayer. An mori vortui Amen. Bahabana menani Christos, achko hova miditsi veraim, ideve vikisheri, inestilidan, ikanali janavad, inachari veramet, zimir pex asarentzat, yebo meakor razot, zivit mazamanitis.
Thank you.
Asvat zedek.